Welcome back, Astro listeners, to this full moon edition of the Star Lady Soul Reader Network. This is Medium Monk, and as always, I have our shining star of the zodiac right on the other line. It's Star Lady. Hi, Star Lady. How are you?
Hello, Medium Monk.
And we all remember her as the managing director for our Evolutionary Astrology Network, EAN as we now call it. Has the finest EA course to certify new astrologers, and yet we have a lot of other things on our website for people just kind of taking a peek. But basically, we've become known as the astrologer's astrologer. So take a look at those materials at www.evolutionaryastrology.net. For your own personal session with Star Lady, call 1-605-348-5111, and Medium Monk will help you get set up.
Hello, everyone. Medium Monk and I are doing well personally. Just a busy time of summer. I did speak at Norwalk. It took us 48 hours to get home due to weather and flying, and that kind of really crunched up our schedule a little bit. But anyway, moving on. This is a busy full moon of Sagittarius. We are recording it the day before. It will take place June 11th at 20.5 degrees, Sun in Gemini and Moon in Sagittarius. And that full moon just happens to be squaring the nodes of the moon. North node in Pisces, South node in Virgo. That can create a lot of, it can create extra emotional energy. The nodes of the moon in the sky, South node ego of the past, North node ego we're striving to create, square the moon, square the sun. So take some deep breaths, calm yourself down as best as you can, and pace yourself, because the mutable signs are all about adapting. And sometimes when we have that activity in the mutable quadrant, we can get to be little busybodies. Gemini goes here and there and everywhere, and Virgo wants to take care of all the details. And Sag gets excited and finds something else to do. And Pisces goes, oh, I think I'll check out. That describes our household today. And while Medium Monk and I are doing fine in our world, I am sometimes just having to do my own Piscean tuning out of what's taking place in the United States today. Not very happy with someone, and I'm like, when is this going to end? This full moon happens to be squaring Donald Trump's full moon. He was born Sun in Gemini, Moon in Sagittarius, and so he's having a kind of a full moon return. And then we've got the nodes in the sky squaring his Gemini Sag. And so this guy is on a power grab. And all I can say is karma comes around sooner or later, and it evens itself out. But I'm so disheartened with what's going on right now. Stay tuned. We'll see how it finishes up. We'll see if he overplays his hand, like somebody says, or people have been saying, because when you are a narcissist like he is, it's never enough. It's never enough. It's always about more, 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 more. And I do believe, while we've got a lot of chaos going on, I do believe that this country has had 250 years of freedom and democracy. And I don't think that it's going to get thrown away as much as Trump would like to do it. So stay tuned, take a deep breath, go protest June 14th, or do like Media Monk and I do. I think it's time for a hike in the woods. We'll see how this summer unfolds. You know, we're going to have 4 planets go retrograde in July. Let's see here, I'll tell you. Neptune, Saturn, Mercury, Chiron. We're going to have Uranus move into Gemini early next month, right after the 4th of July. So who knows what's going to happen next. However, back to the rest of us. In addition to this full moon of Sag creating a little extra excitement, we also have Jupiter in early Cancer getting ready to make its 3rd and final square to Saturn. June 15th, Jupiter 1 Cancer, Saturn 1 degree Aries. If you remember, they had their conjunction the end of 2020 at about 0. Hold on, I'm always having to look. 0.5, 0 3/4 Aquarius. And so here's the last of those 3 crises in action. And Jupiter, Saturn are such social planets. How do we grow? How do we mature into society? How do we want to see ourselves in the world and participating in the world? Saturn in Aries is going to bring along the feistiness, the wanting to bust out, break free. Jupiter in Cancer gets a little, sometimes insecure. Okay, I want to do this, but I don't know if I can. I want to do this, but I don't know if I can. And so where are you being asked to evolve on emotional levels? Because Jupiter makes the square to Saturn June 15th, and then it turns around and makes 1 waxing square to Neptune 3 days later, June 18th. And Jupiter 2 Cancer, Neptune 2 degrees Aries. And so this whole understanding of how we want to be in our world and participate in our world, the realities of Saturn, and some of the deep inspirations of Neptune. And Neptune wanting to progress and move forward, even if it doesn't look like it is right now. Saturn and Neptune they're going to have 1 conjunction February 20 of 26 at about 1 degree Aries. And so while many of us are maybe feeling we're not seeing change in the world like we want, or change within our world like we want, it'll speed up in 2026 when Saturn moves ahead of Neptune. So right now, Jupiter and Cancer, if we are working on that inner emotional self-reliance, working on our own emotional peace, then we can calm ourselves down, we can soothe ourselves through any little upsets that may come along for you. Point, I just got a phone call from my younger sister and my mother. My mother tested positive for COVID. So that threw a little hickey up in our weekend family plans with my niece coming to town. However, deep breath, calm yourself down. How do you pace yourself through all of the change that's taking place in your world, however that is? Now, I just want to point out that the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction was April of 22, at 24 degrees Pisces. Oh, and guess what? The north node of the moon in the sky is hanging out at 23 degrees Pisces. So it can almost be, if you want to, reflect on where you were 3 years ago in the spring of 22, when Jupiter conscious beliefs, Neptune deepest unconscious beliefs, had their conjunction one time, 13-year cycle of evolving our own belief systems on a conscious level. And Jupiter meeting Neptune in its own sign in spring 22, 24 degrees Pisces again. You know, this was an opportunity to really have a deep communion with Source and inspiration with Source on where we want to go with our life and our world. How do we put that big picture together? And then how do we again participate in it? And so now Jupiter has moved a quarter of the way around from Neptune. And that first quarter square, crises in action. How do you act upon your beliefs? So we can see all kinds of things going on the planet. How is it happening for you? And oh, by the way, if I can, just a little side note, how many of you have been watching Sunny and Gizmo, the two little eaglets in Big Bear Valley that are just fledgling as we speak? I watch them through Facebook. You can find them on YouTube, Big Bear Valley. Jackie and Shadow are mom and dad. I've watched them for 3 years. And the last 2 years, they have not had eggs that have hatched. This is the first time in 3 years. First thing we do when we get up in the morning, Media Monk says, what's happening with Sunny and Gizmo? They turned out to be 2 girls, and they both have fledged or left the nest, although they come back and forth for a while. It's been fascinating learning about eagles as I'm watching them. However, as I sit here and look out my window at my trumpet vines, Media Monk, I think our robins hatched. We have baby robins. They're not making any sound yet, but I see those little beaks, and I'm careful not to get too close. But I don't know how many there are. But, you know, this was kind of our little Saturn and Neptune and Aries spring moment, and I'm watching Mom right now. We've been watching Mom and Dad in and out of their nests this whole last week. So we've been kind of bird happy lately. Maybe we're meant to fly free, Media Monk. So thank you for letting me share that little detail. And oh my gosh, go check out the life of Sunny and Gizmo from when they hatched about 13, 14 weeks ago. It's oh gosh, warm your heart if you need some sweet love, Jupiter and Cancer, through all of the BS of the orange guy. So we also, though, have Mars making a first quarter square to Uranus June 15th at about 29 degrees. Mars in Leo, Uranus in Taurus. These two are pretty feisty. These are another first quarter squares, crises in crises in action. What else is going to explode in our world? Stay tuned. You know, if anything, you just want to kind of pace yourself as best as you can, because Mars Uranus can create the upsets. They can create those accidents. And in the midst of all of this, we have June 9th. It just happened a couple of days ago. It's easing up. But Venus in Taurus made a waxing square to Pluto retrograde in Aquarius, and that was about 3.5 degrees Taurus Aquarius. So these planets in the skies right now, they're full of squares. Not the only opposition is the full moon of Sag, but we got square this, square that, square this, square that. The nice thing about June 11th full moon is that the moon will make a trine with Mars and Chiron. Fire signs, feistiness again. Can we calm down our emotions? Stay tuned. We'll find out. Right after Mars makes that waxing square to Uranus, it goes into Virgo. And it's in Virgo June 17th through August 6th. June 17th through August 6th. Mars is still having some pretty long transits through signs of the zodiac. Mars in Virgo, we don't have that every summer, every other summer usually. Again, 2-year cycle of Mars. Mars in Virgo, are you a busybody yet? Who wants to play for the summer? And Mars in Virgo says, but we got to take care of this detail or that detail, or we have a little extra work that we weren't planning on. Mars in Virgo has to watch its inner-outer criticism. You must be careful to look at things from the cup half full viewpoint. Again, no matter how many times, you must shift your attitude, Virgo, and shift your actions, Mars. So Mars in Virgo can be the busybody, but it also can be very resourceful in figuring the details of something out, figuring how to best move forward with whatever situation is, frustrating you or bamboozling you. Mars can really put in the effort to go, maybe if I did it this way, things would turn out a little easier. Mars can be adaptable when it's in Virgo. There's that mutable quadrant again that we were talking about earlier. How do I go with the flow, says Mars in Virgo. Now, before we move forward too much more, we're going to have that longest day of the year in the Northern Hemisphere, the time of the year that Star Lady absolutely loves. Our summer solstice, Sun in Cancer, is June 20th this year. And the EA mantra for Cancer, I evolve emotionally with self-responsibility. I evolve emotionally, Cancer, with self-responsibility, Capricorn. How are you going to do that in your world? Here again, we're going to move in. Mercury went into Cancer June 8th. Jupiter went into Cancer June 9th for a year. Sun is going into Cancer June 20th. We are going to go through the emotional time period of the year, not just because of this full moon squaring the moon's nodes. We'll have the inner planets making that march through Cancer, getting to the depths of our own emotional needs and fulfilling them. One more aspect for you. Jupiter will make a waxing in conjunct to Pluto June 24th. Jupiter at 3 degrees Cancer, Pluto retrograde at 3 degrees Aquarius. Here's the discomfort that we may run into, and if any of the discomfort is on emotional levels, you want to reach towards Pluto for some objectivity, for a little detachment and stepping back from the immediacy of any emotional situation and figuring out what it is that you need to process through on those emotional levels, how you need to evolve on those emotional levels. Usually a waxing inconjunct is learning the lesson that the world does not revolve around me. And so, as you get to that second half of June, and Jupiter makes this waxing inconjunct to Pluto, how are you having to adjust your universe to participate in it, rather than trying to force the universe to revolve around you? The more that you are willing and make the effort to be a full participant, the better your opportunities for growth, the better your opportunities for being at peace. While we have Jupiter make that waxing inconjunct, we're going to have Mars make a waning inconjunct to Pluto a couple days before, June 22nd, 3 degrees Mars Virgo, 3 degrees retrograde Pluto Aquarius. That's a yacht in the sky. And so there will be adjustments coming the end of June. We'll just see how they turn out for us on personal and collective levels. In the middle of all that, as the Sun goes into Cancer, waxing square to Saturn, June 22nd, 1.5, Cancer Aries. Waxing square to Neptune, June 23rd, 2 degrees, Cancer Aries. Conjunction to Jupiter, June 24th, 3 degrees, Cancer. So, while we have these Jupiter waxing squares to Saturn and Neptune, the energy doesn't dissipate very fast because Sun moves into Cancer and then it makes those waxing squares to Saturn and Neptune and it goes over Jupiter. So, again, big breaths, calming yourself down, finding your inner peace, and pacing yourself through whatever the universe is presenting to you. All right, Medium Monk. Whew, that's a lot of feisty energy going on in the middle of June, end of June.
Good one. Yeah. But that feistiness, that's kind of the leading edge of the next level of growth. And we've always had conversations about how the busyness of just being in the summer months in July is always not necessarily congruent with having all of these Cancerian transits, but that's probably divinely orchestrated as well. So thanks for listening, everybody. And again, if you want some personal time with Star Lady, just dial 605-348-5111. We'll get you on our summer schedule. We are traveling, so but we'll find a time. And until next new moon, move with joy and passion on this always emotionally adjustable journey to the core of our souls. Thanks for tuning in, everyone.